Mm-mm. What's going on, everybody? I'm just representing for the Great Pill Podcast. I apologize for the lateness. You know what happens when adults, everybody got live. So it is what it is. So we have to be a little bit patient for the people that has time and their lives. So I appreciate everybody coming on to the Great Pill Podcast. Again, this is free. I take everybody that comes on as a guest doing me a personal favor, especially the other content creators that come on here and actually regular people that come on here that actually enjoy the genuine conversation here at the Great Pill Podcast. But what do? We always talk about the black and white and things because there's always gray in the middle. But I want to give some context and shout out to everybody into the chat. If you can hear me, Mr. Harley, you have the email, sir, so you're more than welcome to come up. There is a spot available also, so that also goes to Just Jay and to Ashley for the conversation. So just let me know if you are available. If not, is fine. So I appreciate everybody in the chat. So I appreciate Ashley. Definitely appreciate the Raging Tomato. I actually like her content. She gave me the the silly Harley Quinn vibes. Because there's another content creator give me the raging Harley Quinn vibes. You know, shout out to you, Just Jay. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for coming through. So I'll definitely send you a link actually in the Discord. So Great Pill Podcast also has a Discord. Definitely all the links is there. All right. So I appreciate you. Dantes, I appreciate you, man. It's gonna be a great conversation. A great conversation. Because I'll be seeing a lot of spaces where they have these group panels, people arguing and screaming over the conversation at hand about the Keke Palmer, which is an actress, singer that's been in the Hollywood for a long time. Something with the boyfriend that happened that went viral. So I want to share that. But before I do, let me give a intro to everybody for the Latin community out there. So thank you.
For all your Spanish watchers and viewers, Telemundo, Univision, Galavisión. Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches, damas y caballeros. Por favor, suscriben, gusten y por favor compartir este canal de YouTube. Cualquier parte del mundo donde están ahorita, por favor. Familia, amigos o socios de trabajo, lo que sea, por todo el mundo, por favor, suscriben al canal del Grey Pill Podcast, el Pastilla Gris, por favor. Muchas gracias. For all your Spanish.
For those that's listening out there in the YouTube universe, shout out to Great Pill Podcast. Go holler at him. Hell yeah. Give him a like and subscribe. Go view his channel, if you will. Courtesy of Classic Lights.
Record of the delightful piece they're going to play this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, 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 your attention, please, attention, please, attention, please.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
All right, what's up, everybody? We got Mr. West back in the building. Miss Lady E, thank you. Miss Oshun, which everybody call her Lola. I think just need to change the name just cause, but it's just me. I'm very picky. And like always, my favorite co-host, Miss Classic Ruby. You can catch her at I'll Be That News. Ruby, do you mind let us know what is I'll Be News is about so we can have a better understanding of that?
Well, yes, I can definitely do that for you. So basically, in a nutshell, I realized that, I don't know, the news just kept replaying the same old garbage without any real context, so much bias. And so we wanted to present news stories that maybe don't get the focus they needed to get, and to present the other side of things without all of this bias. We wanted to have a space that was not an echo chamber and a news station that was not an echo chamber for us to present to y'all. So that's basically what I'll Be That News is in a nutshell. And me and my co-host Sal, we host our show on Mondays and Thursdays. And on Mondays, we also do have a call-in time where you can call it and challenge our ideas. So yeah, in a nutshell.
All right, appreciate that. Also, any any Cash Apps or Venmo that's promoted right here that goes through the Great Pill Podcast is going to go to Inky. That was our guest on the last platform. She has a great cause. So usually anything I get, I pretty much put into StreamYard or whatever, because anything come out of pocket is for the mics, the backgrounds, the lights, all that good stuff. But she had to pretty much explain it a little bit better than I can. But if you go to the previous content, it's a great cause about, I think, like animals and mental health. So every little bit that helps goes straight from Great Pill Podcast is going straight to Inky. So you can catch her at Inky Unplugged, and she can explain a little bit better than I can. But I will give like a better pitch than what she had promoted, so everybody just to know where every little dollar, $5 a quarter goes to. So appreciate y'all. So have anybody heard of Keke Palmer and Usher on the panel?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Vicariously.
Vicariously.
It's on my feeds. I can't turn it off. It's on my feeds. People are talking about it.
Okay, because I want to share this. What everybody was acting a little bit silly about. Well, I don't know. It might be silly. It might be valid. So I want to share this real quick and then actually give a more context of a conversation, and we can kind of open up from there. Shout out to Sincere too, because it was a great conversation. It's kind of led up to that. I don't think it was directly for the Keke Palmer situation, but I'm gonna share that as well. And also I'm gonna leave her link below so everybody can get the full conversation of her podcast. I'll make sure this is it. All right, definitely let me know if you can see the screen. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit bigger. Okay, cool.
I should stay in this relationship when I'm hurting, baby.
He's trying to get you with somebody that has a place to have something. That's what I keep trying to get you to do. You can't quit bringing these. You need something with somebody with something. Quit trying to give a boy your lifestyle and he ain't earned.
All right, that's pretty much the basis what everybody saw. So the after that, the boyfriend Lily sent like a like I guess an Instagram or TikTok message saying, "Hey, you're a mother first, yada yada yada." And a lot of women out there started having like backlash in response to what he said, and generally just ran and chased him off social media. So he kind of disconnected all the feeds. So in retrospect to that, here's a video of some on a podcast, which is Cida Sincere, that she calls the Highlander Country, where it was a conversation about flirting, right? So a lot of conversations going on because most people's on the spectrum of what Keke Palmer should be doing, and the other people's on the spectrum, like, how the young brother, I think his name is Darius, how Darius should behave, when a lot of dynamics. So I'm going to share this real quick. Where is it?
Like, it's not bad for people to cheat. There are people, I'm not cheating. It is bad for people to cheat. I mean, flirt. It's not bad for people to flirt, right? Like, I feel like there's healthy flirting, right?
Thank you. Healthy flirting.
There's flirting, right, that is not healthy. Like, there's flirting where it's being disrespectful to the other party, and it's planting seeds, right? Planting seeds of destruction, if you will, in your relationship. Nobody wants to be with somebody they can't trust as far as they see them, right? Nobody wants their mate or people, friends, and people coming back saying, hey, I seen your girl or I seen your man, and they were, leaning in and whispering and laughing and stuff. Like, it's one thing, to have a distance between you and another person and you guys say things that are witty to one another, but not in a way that is asking, for you to come on to a person, right? Like, and I think there's a difference. Now, do you guys agree with that, or maybe I'm wrong?
Oh no, I got a question for you, because you said something. You said healthy flirting. So what do you consider healthy flirting? I personally would just try to avoid it altogether.
Yep.
Like for me, healthy flirting is like, okay, well, I can do this because I'm single, right? But say if I was,
I'm your man right now, Sincere. What's healthy flirting? Boom, let's go.
Flirting that allows for people to feel good, but is not asking people to come into your world in a way where, like, you're inviting them into your body or to your person,
Can
to
you
your
give an
business.
example, please? A scenario of healthy
I
flirting.
don't. I guess like how. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. You look good. Boom, like that, and that's it. I feel like
it. No hands. Hey, you look good. Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. Give me a hug. You look good.
You should keep boundaries, right? But I think that but you can only do it right. Like
the church hug.
I don't think if you're in a relationship. Let me correct myself. Let me say it this way.
No church hug.
If you're
right
with a person, I don't think you really should be flirting at all. But I do think that there's times where we have to be what's the word? We have to make people feel good in order to get what we want, right? Or we have to kind of give an energy off. As
you have to flirt to make people feel good. I'm your man, Sincere. What are you doing?
See, now that's why I said I have to correct myself, because maybe that's not.
I'm your man, Sincere. You cheated on me.
No, I'm not cheating. But
you just cheated.
Well, can I ask you a question? Okay. Well, okay. Say you and Grey Pillar together, but I'm right here on the panel with you. You decide to go.
Like Big O's always flirting, right? He's flirting with everybody out here. That's flirting. And that nigga, we know he don't mean nothing by it. He's the example. Go ahead, y'all.
Okay. Well, my question is this: if you're in a relationship, at what point is it healthy flirting, and at which point is it not? Because say you and Grey Pillar together, but you decide to flirt with me. Do you wait until Grey Pill leaves to flirt with me? Or if it's just healthy flirting, like you said, can you just do it right in front of him?
Flirting. Healthy flirting is flirting with you because you're my man, right? It wouldn't be me flirting with Grey Pill. Like, that is flirting in itself. That would be healthy because I'm making my man feel good. He's making me feel good. We're like boosting each other up. And that's a very safe way of flirting. But going to flirt with somebody else who's not in your relationship and you're saying things that provoke, demand, right?
Planting a seed.
Yeah, causes people mind.
I got you, light skin. I'm Googling it right now.
What, healthy flirting?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would love to know exactly when is it. Like,
Sincere move that goalpost. There's a few little, the goalpost trying to I'm trying to hold on to it.
Like, I understand. I understand if you're with your significant other, if you're flirting with your significant other, if you're a woman and you're flirting with your man, okay. But I'm saying outside a relationship to flirt with anybody on any level, to me, that's destructive, because what happens is that there are more men, there are more men out there who haven't really, let's call it, filled their quota when it comes to women. And so even if they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, you flirt with them just a little bit, you've already planted a seed in their mind that you want them. So whether they're in a relationship or not, they're going to keep trying to see how far they can take it. And then one day it's possible that, go ahead.
Wait, Ray killed and pulled it up. Okay, but go ahead, finish.
I just want to make sure we're in the right circle, because this is a conversation. So I want to make sure, shout out to light skin out there. I want to make sure we're all on the same page of conversation. So healthy flirting. Would you mind real quick, bro?
Hey, man, hold on.
Well, before you go on, can I say something about the healthy flirting?
Everybody wants to
Like, I think healthy flirting, when you know you have a partner and you know you're secure with them, you're taking care of their needs, they're taking care of yours. I think, just certain flirting's okay, long as you're not overdoing it. And what I mean by that is if you know somebody, like a man that's going through, he's trying to get buff and shit, and you're sitting there like, oh, okay, you looking handsome today, I see you working out, shit like that. I can see. But if you sitting there talking about, oh yeah, nigga, you all nice and big, I can see you coming to drop me off. Oh no. So little confidence builders and stuff like that, I can understand, but there is a thin line.
I appreciate that. I'll set that answer flat because
that was a good one.
Sincere's gonna get it.
I concur with Slapper. I see what Big O does. No, I did say what Big O does is healthy flirting too, because like if you notice flirt, Big O comes through all the time, like different panels and stuff. Well, not the panels, but the chats, and he's like, "Hello, ladies, I'm here," but nobody pays no mind because that's just him being him. But it's a flirtatious way. But it's not.
But they know. But hold on. But to be fair though, see what Slapper said of something of a stranger, of a random, of a norm situation.
Yeah.
When you picked out Big O is because everybody in the club, everybody in the party, everybody in the neighborhood know of Big O. So they know that's the norm what Big O do. So they don't even take him seriously. But a situation that Slapper was saying, like, okay, that's something to be wary about. Do I trust this person and how they engage with it? So Slapper gave like a perfect example.
I
appreciate it.
What Slapper just did, he proved how thin the line is. Because it's like, okay, it's easy to cross over from healthy into unhealthy. Because he's right. It's a thin ass line, a very thin line. It's by the way you present the shit. You know what I'm saying? He had a point.
That's just
put it back up there. Put it back up there so we can read it though. You didn't read it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I read it. I read it. She trying to find a way to move the goalpost.
I'm not trying to find a way to move the goalpost.
I'm just messing with
you. She killed our relationship. So she killed our relationship. You go ahead and say that. Sincere.
Okay, read it.
All right, healthy flirting means respecting boundaries and ensuring that you are not offending the other person. That's number one. It is supposed to be fun and casual. It doesn't necessarily mean that you both are interested in each other. Since it is a fun activity, people can casually flirt as long as there is consistent and no lines are crossed. And here we are. Appreciate you, Ashley, for coming through.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So everything that we know about Keke Palmer, Hollywood celebrity, actress, singer. From my understanding, she has the boyfriend that's, I guess, a regular guy like us, the 9-to-5 guy. They had a child together. They didn't get married. She had a birthday event, from my assumption. Usher, she was sitting in the front stage, so everybody know if you sit in the front stage, Usher coming for you. He serenaded her. Some people consider flirting, some people consider not flirting. And after that, because of the outfit she wore, the boyfriend felt some kind of way, went on social media, made the comments, and boom, here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and just play devil's advocate and just say she was harmlessly flirting. It's Hollywood. This is what they do. It is what it is. What say ye?
Just like you said, well, first of all, he made it about the dress. I never felt it was about the dress. But at the end of the day, it's Usher. It is Usher. Why
does that justify it?
Because it's Usher. Not saying that Usher wouldn't flirt back or try to smash or whatever, but most women have a crush on Usher, married or not. That's like, a superstar. It's kind of like how women would have flirted, I guess, he's on that caliber of like Elvis or other celebrities from back in the day. That should have definitely not have been a situation that should have been taken personal, in my opinion. I don't feel what Keke did was wrong. I don't have an issue with what she was wearing, even though that's not something that I would wear. But like someone said, like every other 10 pictures you see on your feed, somebody's wearing something like that. Now, if she was going backstage or meeting up with Usher after the show, that would have been different. But this is part of the performance. This is what he gets paid to do. He gets paid to serenade women. He's not going to go and serenade a man, obviously. It's women. And like Grey Pill said, she's front and center. And usually that's what happens at any concert, whether you have a mosh pit or you have seating arrangements. Whoever's in the front is getting all the action. They paid for the action. So this is what you get.
Man, I agree with that 100%. May I just say, like, this is a special circumstance, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Usher kind of singled me out like that, I would act accordingly. Hondo.
Wes?
Can anyone name a female artist on the same level as Usher?
Beyonce.
Well, she's
so if
probably
your man was dancing with
but
Beyonce,
yeah.
you'd be like, yeah, that's okay. It's Beyonce. But
Yeah.
But if you
I
go
even
down
said
to
I'd go to a strip club with my man. Like,
hell yes, lady. Yes.
I guess I'm confident as a woman, and that I know what I offer to minds, and I know what minds offer to me, and it's something that's rare. And that's it. Like, if you have two confident people that are with one another and they don't have any insecurities, there's nothing to worry about. Because I know at the end of the day, you're coming back. I'm sorry?
So why go to the strip club in the first place?
For some people, that's entertainment. People do go to strip clubs for entertainment. They're not going there to find a stripper and to bring home. Some of them are just purely going there for the entertainment.
I mean, that's why I go. I'm not attracted to women.
Right.
So
Wes,
how do you find it entertaining?
Do you
then?
not go to strip clubs, or have you never gone to a strip club just for entertainment? It's okay if you haven't. I'm just curious.
No, I have zero interest in strip clubs. There's nothing for me there. I don't. I've seen plenty of guys. They go there, they lose their paycheck, and they come back. They got nothing to show for it. I'm like, well, what was the purpose then?
To each their own.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, like, I used to judge amateur nights, for example. I would go with my boys and we would just cheer and cheer, hoot and holler. We would evaluate the different talents, the different outfits, the different moves. Like, some of these women have some strength, boy, and talent, the things that they can do. So it's just like going to watch pretty much any event, right? Where you're you don't have to be necessarily attracted to the people in the event for you to be able to have fun. And to me, especially the cheering and the whatever, and I have friends who definitely would get on the stage and put the $10 bill in between their lips or whatever to have her do the dance and take it the whole nine, right? And it's not because they're attracted to women. They're not. It's an event. It's a different type of entertainment. Yeah, it's fun. Right now, have I bought my man a lap dance before? Absolutely. And then we go home and fuck like rabbits afterwards? Absolutely. Right? Sorry, my bad.
I was about to go there.
Yeah, right. But I mean, have I? Absolutely. So the attraction, the thing at the time was I'm watching her do this and do this, and we both get a little zesty off of it because he knows I'm watching and I know I'm watching and whatever, right? And then we get off on that. Sure, has that happened? Absolutely. But I've also gone to the strip club for decades, honestly, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just fun. It's just a good time. And I've also been the Keke Palmer. I've been that chick a lot of times. A few times before I was even legal. They didn't know I was in the club illegally, whatever. For the Chippendales, America's Most Wanted, a few singers, you know what I mean, Genuine. So I've been that chick that gets picked up out of the crowd, and I don't believe it. It's not possible. You get to be kissed and touched or da-da-da-da-da, or whatever it is, and then you're like, oh my god, maybe he'll go further. They never do, because it's a show, right? It's a performance that they're putting on to get all the ladies in the crowd going wild, right? But it's not a real thing. Now, Keke Palmer and Usher have known each other.
Gay.
Pardon?
Most of the Chippendales are actually gay.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's a performance. But Usher's not gay. but Usher is married, and he's known Keke since she was a small child. They know each other, right? And so you could see they're hugging and whatever. It's like she's playing into it because, oh, it's Usher, ha ha ha. But really, she's a performer. He's a performer. It's part of a performance. They're doing something for entertainment, you know. So I don't even know how you're evaluating it. Like it's like me on stage.
Yeah, because this is my thing. So I gotta ask. So why everybody else, the regular folks that it's not their man, it's not their baby, it's not a kid, why they're taking so much invested time to argue, scream, and spit about this?
Because they're home miserable and alone. And let me just add one other thing to the tail end of something that Wes had said, blowing the whole paycheck. If a man or anyone is going to a strip club or going for entertainment and blowing a paycheck, then you have a problem. It's like someone who gambles. I could go to the casino with $25. If I blow the $25, it's the $25. Now, if I blow my whole entire paycheck, hoping to get something in return that's not guaranteed, that is a problem.
I saw and heard the same red flag when he said that, Lady. Absolutely.
So, okay, so let's say you go to the strip club, you're not blowing your whole paycheck. I still don't see how this is entertainment, especially for couples.
It's not entertaining for you. Everyone is not entertained by the same things. Like some people are entertained by playing video games. Some people are entertained by watching movies or doing puzzles or reading books or going fishing or going skydiving, bungee jumping. Everybody has their interest of what's entertaining for them or what they find as fun. Like I go to drag brunches. So a lot of people may be against that. Well, these are men of the alphabet community and you're support. I'm entertained by it because at the end of the day, I've been to quite a few and the show is great. I get something to eat. I get bottomless mimosas and I get a show.
Mm-hmm. Wes, are you married in a serious relationship? And if so, how long, etc.?
Well, I suppose I technically have a girlfriend right now, but even regardless, anytime I've been single, I've never had an interest in a.
Well, it's not about
club.
being single, but the point of the question is: have you been, or are you in a serious relationship? Is it long term? I guess we already know that technically right now it's not. But what is the longest relationship?
Why would that bear any relevance?
I will explain the
hand.
relevance when you answer the question.
Being in a relationship or not being in a relationship?
No, Wes,
I don't have an interest in a strip club.
I'm honestly being very good faith right now. I'm not trying to get you on a couch 22. I'm just legitimately curious. Like, what's the longest relationship you've been in?
Probably about a year.
Yeah, for me, it's 12. And the point of the question was this, is that after you're with somebody for that long, it doesn't mean you don't love that person. It doesn't mean that you want to cheat on that person or that sex is boring. But there is an element of needing or wanting or expecting or maybe like whatever it may be that you're trying to get some variety or some surprise or something to quote unquote spice up the love life, right? And I tell people this, that I'm 37. I talk to people on my podcast all the time that are in their early 20s that just can't fathom the things I'm saying. And I'm like, I used to get so pissed when I would hear people say like, well, wait till you're my age and blah, blah, blah. You sound like the old geezer, right? Well, the same thing, though, is like, wait till you're married for 12 years. Wait till then. And then, not that there's anything perverted or wrong with wanting to go to the strip club or do this or that, but there is that element of wanting to spice things up, change things up, and kind of play or toy with the idea of, like, say you're not into an open relationship or threesomes, but maybe you just kind of want to spice up the sex life or love life. We are human beings and we have libidos. And I'm sorry, not sorry, but like man, woman, or the like we all want a little bit of spice or variety. And like you be married and monogamous for 12 years and tell me that you don't find any joy or pleasure in going and watching somebody be or do something sexual that might entice or increase the libido of you and your partner. Is that fair enough to say?
I'll let Wes respond to that, and I'll let Lola chime in. Go ahead, Wes.
No, I still don't get it. I've known lots of married people that have been very happily married, and doing the mattress mambo as much as they want to, but never had the need to go to a strip club. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how any of that would be entertaining. And I think if you want to make the argument that ultimately is between the partners involved, yeah, that makes sense. So Keke Palmer and her boyfriend, ultimately it's between them what went down. But I guarantee you, if the roles were reversed, all the women that were defending, hating on Darius and defending Keke would be doing the exact same thing if the roles were reversed, like saying, "Hey, how dare he go and flirt with that woman on stage when he's got Keke Palmer?" Because that is typically what I have seen.
Lola?
Okay, so I can agree with some of what everyone is saying, but I think that we need to just kind of dial it back a bit, because one, all of us here at least got a little bit of age on us, and we're talking about a couple that's under 30. And as much as, I myself would agree that when you are older and you and your partner are mature, you do mature things in your relationship. Whether or not you find it nice to go and do the swinger thing per se, because that's really what we're hinting at here, or you're more of the conservative couple thing, whatever. We're not talking about a mature couple when it comes to Keke and Darius. That's not what we're talking about. So we can't really put that type of culture on them to say, well, he needed to be more mature or she needed to be more mature. They're not mature. My thing is this: I don't have a problem with anything that happened. However, just because you may be right in one sense doesn't mean that it's going to work for your life in the long run. Like, it's okay with what she wore. I don't understand why he has a problem with what she wore, given the culture of his and her relationship prior to that. I don't understand. It seems extremely hypocritical to me. And the thing is, well, Darius has a right to say, I don't like that dress, right? However, you run the risk of showing your partner that they can't trust you emotionally, and they can't trust your word, and they can't trust what they think they know of you, even though you have a right to say, I don't like that particular outfit. That's correct, but you're going to run the risk in another place. Same thing on her end. You got a right to wear that dress. It's your body, it's your dress, it's your night, it's Vegas. Who had the camera on? It's the real question. But at the end of the day, when you're in a relationship, you have to take into account that anything can get bigger than what it is, especially when people are recording you out and then the camera shuts off and no one knows. Like someone said earlier, were you behind stage with him? Did you meet with him? Was there a phone call? I mean, now it's a bunch of speculation. So again, you have a right to do what you want to do, but if you're going to be immature in your in calculating what you're doing, then whatever happens to you is supposed to happen to you. Same thing with Darius. You went online and aired your grievances in the worst place possible at the worst time possible. Sure, you have a right to feel how you feel. Most men would probably feel a little bit of way, like probably a little bit too, right? That's normal feelings he was going through. However, he broke the cardinal rule of relationships. You never put your personal business on social media for people to eat at, especially when you are a celebrity. That's not what you do. Your lives are already scrutinized. So he broke the rule of his relationship because he was in his feelings. So again, we're not talking about mature people right now. We're talking about two immature people that did not know how to maintain a relationship. And it's sad that they were allowed, okay, because of biology, to bring a child into that. So now this child his life is being affected because of their immaturity as individuals and as a couple. My thing is this: when it comes to the flirting, I actually liked what I saw between Keke and him. And low key, I felt like they might have made a good couple. But at the end of the day, it was just flirting. I myself, I'm 41. My man doing that, it's like nothing. Like, trust me, that's a cakewalk. That's a cake. Let me just say that's a cakewalk. However, that's not a cakewalk to everybody, and I respect that. But this is where we're at. We have people defending everything and not really seeing, well, where's the real issue at. But before I land my plane, I want to speak to this. I think someone asked, well, what's the real problem that regular lay people have with this, right? The real problem that lay people have with this is that celebrities, in a sense, majority of the time, set the tone for the culture, right? What's acceptable. And what we see now is certain types of behaviors and dress is becoming more acceptable because of celebrity culture. Meanwhile, in everyday culture, when I go to Walmart, I'm not trying to see the inner lining of somebody's butt cheeks. Like, I'm not trying to sit down in a chair on the bus behind a chick dressed like that. Like, I'm really not trying to do that. This is unsanitary, and it probably smells. It's just a bunch of stuff. So I don't want, and this is what or what's gonna happen. And so now that we have women that are not celebrities on the runway dressing this way, now we look at, well, the issue with children. Women will feel more comfortable dressing around children that way. Now we have another issue with, well, how do children deal with adults dressing provocatively around them more, on top of the issue we already have with child molestation and a few other things. So, like, this is the issue that comes down to the lay people when they say, hey, why are you doing that? You're teaching the women and the children that this is okay. In a sense, it is okay, but in another sense, it's dangerous outside of Hollywood. But
I'm gonna have to
Hollywood
cut you
doesn't
off because you've
care.
been rambling. But I gotta tell you,
Okay,
before we move on, I
didn't have to
completely
interrupt whoever's
disagree
talking
with what
right
you said about
now.
people
So I'm
wanting to experience those things
I
being
have
older couples. It's
one
actually
talking.
completely untrue. A lot
Don't
of times it is
respect
younger
me.
couples. You're statistically incorrect there.
Who's
So that
talking?
is something that everybody needs to just be aware of.
Okay,
Hold on,
Miss
what she's
Ashley,
go ahead.
I can't listen to you, Miss Ashley, if I'm trying to make a point and you can't hold your point. As adults, try to hold your point until I'm finished. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
so,
you're
because if
like
I have
going
to
for
respond to
30
you
minutes
in the
now. I'm
middle
just
of
saying.
what I'm saying, you're just gonna wait longer for what I'm saying. And
You're
I get it. You
I know
wasn't you
you're
didn't want to.
rambling. I get it.
I
No.
respect that. You don't have time to listen. Just go on mute and do something else, like adults do. But back to what I was saying. At the end of the day, okay, the culture is being affected by this in a way that does not affect Hollywood. Hollywood is not being negatively affected because women are going around dressing and flirting and doing whatever they're doing. That's not what's happening. However, when we have people showing up to schools dressed like that, now we have a problem. Like, we just do. And I'm not saying that it's a real problem, but I am saying is that the public has a right to say they like something or don't like something, and it is affecting them because it is becoming a social norm. Like, I think Miss Cookie said, I'm sorry, not Miss Cookie, Miss E, she said, like, this is a normal thing now. Like, people are getting too used to this to the point, who cares, right? So this is what's happening on the ground. So I think we need to kind of separate what happens in Hollywood versus how Hollywood affects everything else outside of Hollywood. I land my plane there, and you can disagree now.
All right, hold on one second before Ashley goes. So, shout out to Paulo X. I think I emailed you with link and everything, Paulo. Just to do a update real quick. We're talking about Keke Palmer dancing with Usher. Everybody thought it was flirting or disrespectful. The boyfriend made a comment within, I think, TikTok or Instagram saying, "Hey, but you're a mom though." They do have a child together, not married, and also it was the age that was mentioned. They're young, but we can consider what's young and what's an adult, what's mature. Paulo just came in. Keke is 29 years old. The boyfriend, Darius, that's actually the father, he is 28 years old. All right. Just to run down the whole list, Keke Palmer has been in the celebrity status since the early 2000s and been vicariously and consistently working her way up through Hollywood for his music, acting, and then some. And we'll introduce Paulo, and then we'll let Ashley go from there, and we'll go around the table.
No, I'm
Appreciate
good.
you,
I'm
Paulo,
good.
for coming on through.
I just wanted to clarify the fact. That was it. I'm good. Trust me.
Okay, cool. Paulo, what's your thoughts thus far?
Look, I'm a 29-year-old man who's approaching a decade of marriage, and what I've seen so far, and look, I don't go looking out for it. However, social media does a fantastic job of plastering everything in your face without your, volunteering for it. Look, I think when I look at this relationship, it's so much so of what it looks like for an unstructured relationship. You've got a woman who is acting outside of the lane that she should be in, which is a mother and a woman who is committed to a relationship. And not only that, you have a young man who don't know how to communicate in private to a woman that he's picked, instead going into social media. I'm older than a year and I don't live on social media like that. My relationship issues are mine and mine alone, and I address it in private to my wife, regardless of whatever the situation may be. So it's an unstructured relationship in that sense, in the way that I look at it. And unfortunately, this is what everyone promotes, is that, oh, but it's fine if there's X, Y, Z. I'm a man who enjoys and loves the idea of principles and values when it comes to us. Right. So when I look at these discussions and think, oh, it's all right to flirt with another man if you're in a relationship. It's all right to go to the strip club if you want to spice things up. I disagree from the standpoint of, no, as men and women in relationship, there are standards that we should adhere by, regardless of whether we think it should be all right, because the modern age has allowed us many more conveniences than we already have.
Fair enough. So what you're saying is it was okay before, but now the fact that they got the kid, that dynamic changed a little bit.
If she was a single woman, go right ahead. But she is not. We operate in different lanes when we're in committed relationship than we do as we're single. Just because people are saying it's fine, no. There are values and things that we adhere to and must uphold in relationship. This is why we're in such disarray, because no one knows what a relationship consists of, what commitment consists of, and what we should do in relationships.
Most people are saying the fact that none of them have a ring on a finger, that they are considered single. So it's okay for her to do what she did.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me in the sense of, if you're in a relationship, if you're committed, regardless, there are certain things that you have to adhere to. Whether there's a ring or not, there's a process. It's like the conversation I have with Fatty and the other guys on their panels. A relationship means that it's going to advance into marriage or whatever that looks like, whether it's a ring or long-term commitment. So you have to follow whatever that process looks like. To me, it's that I am for you and you are for me, and we do things to support and uphold each other. And if we need a third party to verify our relationship to each other, then that's not a relationship. We need to sit down and have a conversation about what a relationship means to us and what that looks like.
Ruby, she had a church hand up.
Yes, I did. Thank you. No, because you know why? Because I responded to what we were talking about first, so I didn't really get to flesh out my opinion about the actual Keke Palmer Usher thing. And I'm really glad that this gentleman has come up to voice his opinion, because it fully reminded me of every opinion I have. But I wanted to say a couple things. The first thing being that we have to stop comparing the 99% to the 1%, because Keke Palmer, Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, name all of these top 1% women who are entertainers and performers or singers or actresses, whatever, the standards for their public behavior, not the same as the standards for everyone else's public behavior. And the reason why is because, again, they're entertainers or performers. It is part of their job to dress up sexy, to interact with the opposite sex or sometimes the same sex in ways that are titulating to the crowds, right? Because they're literally paid for that. It's part of their job. It's part of their profession, right? Keke Palmer's been an actress since she was a teeny weeny little girl. And I think part of it, I would suppose, a guess, because you see it happen all the time with child actresses, is that they get kind of caught in this like Disney box. They have to do children's stuff, sweet stuff, and the industry can't see them as adults, right? And so they don't get the really great gigs, the really high paying gigs. They don't even get the chance to audition for them because they're seen as kids. So they have to kind of break that kid mold. And Keke's never really broken that kid mold. So I think that this whole entire planned shenanigan that happened, and I do believe it was very much planned, very much orchestrated, and everyone was very much aware of what was going to happen, including her man, was to help age up her visuals and for people to start being able to see her as a sexy adult grown woman, so that way she could get that kind of role. right? And you see that child women actresses have to do that all the time. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I just said, well, I think everybody was aware, including her man. Well, then why is he reacting this way? Well, that's pretty simple. It's because the pressure that the men, okay, the people out here in the world and the internet who think they know everything about everything, and the red pill circles that want to shame and denigrate everybody, and the 1%ers without even understanding their world, right? Well, those people are shaming him for filth. So why did he respond online? Because he was responding to the people online, right? And so the people online wanted to sit there and call her basically a hoe for dancing with Usher, and he couldn't respond to that because he knew that whole thing was going to happen, right? So instead he just said, well, it's the outfit for me though. But he knew about the outfit too. Don't get it twisted. He wasn't responding for Keke for his relate. He was responding to defend himself against a bunch of men who feel that every time a woman steps out of line from being a traditionalist woman, like she's not an entertainer who makes millions of dollars a year, that they have to shame the men who are with those women, right? And unfortunately for him, since he's not really an industry dude, he doesn't really fully understand. And he wasn't ready for that pressure. He wasn't ready for the backlash, and he decided to respond publicly to defend himself. I'm not some punk. I'm not some whatever. I mean, even listen to the words that he was speaking.
He got punked off media, though. he got punked off media.
Right. But I mean, that goes to show you like what he was really made out of, right? And so I don't think everyone's sitting there wondering about shaming Keke. Keke was behaving correct. She's an actress and an entertainer. That's her job, right? Just like it's Beyonce's job, just like it's Rihanna's job, just like it's Sierra's job. And I don't know why we look at those women who that's their job and compare them to the average housewife living in America, whatever, and say, well, you know, Sierra's got to behave the same way the average housewife does. Like, wait, what? Are you guys unaware of what her actual job is? Any man who's with her needs to understand there's her professional life as Sierra or as Keke or as whoever, right? And then there's her personal life. But some of your professional life is going to involve you being sexy and being up on men, right? And then you do draw lines as far as, okay, what am I comfortable with or whatever, right? LL Cool J did the same thing. When he got married, he had to draw lines and say, okay, the wife's like, listen, you go a little far with those women in the videos. Can we pull it back a little, right? And that's why he stopped being quite so hypersexual with the women in his videos. But he's still LL Cool J, so he still got to lick the lips and be up on women a little, right? Because it's just what it is, right? It's just what it is, and we need to stop, judging these women and the people who are with them as though this is like they're just normal people. Like as if you caught me doing the same thing, I'd understand, right? Because I'm just some YouTuber. I'm nobody, right? And so if I was out there winding up on some man and you saw it and you're like, that's not Ruby's husband, right? Yeah, judge me. Absolutely judge me, right? Because it's not my job to go out there dressed in a sexy dress and, put on this performance with Usher. It's not my job, right? But Keke Palmer, like we should be holding her to a different standard because her life is different than ours. So that's what I'm saying.
Paulo got something to add, and I'll let you go, Wes.
Yeah, look, I think someone's already mentioned it before. Pop culture and the people who belong in that stratosphere, celebrity-wise, will always have a certain level of influence over culture, right? So I think when we look at it from that lens, I think for the public to do what they've done is fair in the sense of, look, in some way or form, they are influence our perception of what relationship should be. There's also another point that was mentioned by Ruby, is that men came out in droves to shame this man for X, Y, and Z. What you're seeing is essentially what a man's life is. I grew up in an age where marriages and relationship went along the lines of, my wife is a representation of who I am as a man, and I as a man is a representation of the family I've brought this woman into. So if we represent ourselves in public in a certain manner, most of the men in our influences will judge us in that way. Whether I like it or not, this is the reality for a lot of us men. So that's why, and look, I don't agree with the whole online thing, whether you're defending yourself or whether you're addressing an issue. No, it should be done in private. But look, that's the only thing I wanted to add on to. What you're seeing in real time is what men are exposed to when we ourselves don't have our house in order.
Go ahead, Wes.
So I thought it's kind of odd that an odd defense to say, well, this is an actress. She gets to act promiscuously. Nobody else can. It just seems like an odd justification for that. And she was not there as an actress. She was not there as a dancer. She was just there in her private civilian life and stating that, well, this was all a stunt to try and raise her profile in Hollywood. I don't see that either. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, all that Darius's friends was giving him a lot of shit. And I think it's odd to place so much blame on Darius for posting on social media. Everything started in the public eye. So he was defending himself in the public eye. Everything started in the public eye when she was putting herself on display in front of Usher and for everyone to see. She made herself very sexualized. And you know, I'm with Paolo on the fact that once you do, you know, commit to someone, once you are in a marriage, a lot of things change. You're like, okay, well, I'm no longer on the market anymore. Why am I shouldn't be going to these places. I shouldn't be doing these things. I need to be focusing on me and mine, taking care of my family, and building that. So that's kind of and you can call that traditional, but that's the traditional way that the entire world built itself. And when you fall away from that, everything starts falling apart. And so when we start justifying behaviors like this, then there is no hope for a future family. So I'm not really seeing, like earlier I was saying, I don't understand why married couples are going to strip clubs, but if that is between that couple and that's what they like to do, well, all right, I can be libertarian on that. But the moment you start throwing this stuff into the public eye, you're going to have to address it in the public eye.
No, you don't.
So you feel like Keke should address it after Darius did what he did?
That probably would have been a great way to do it. Because I'm pretty sure, and I'm not following any of these people on Instagram. I have Instagram and Snapchat to follow one person, just for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
But friggin', I guarantee you, Keke Palmer's got Instagram and Facebook and all kinds of things, and she could have easily addressed it on there, saying, "Yeah, look, this is my man. Like I was just dancing with Usher because it's my birthday party, and that's it." And that would have quelled it pretty well, because she would have stated to the world, like, no. This is my man over here. Y'all just talking too much shit.
But she's addressed time and time again that she doesn't address anything about her private life publicly, period. No matter what they come with, oh, I saw your man up on someone else. Oh, he's got a twin brother. Like she said she will not address any of this because it's none of y'all's business, because it's not everyone's business. Her private
then she shouldn't be dancing her business in front of the whole world that.
No. See, this is the problem right now. First of all, it was very lightly, again, not directly, but very indirectly addressed by basically everybody that she's a performer and an entertainer. When they
was she doing that?
Yes. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you, is that a lot of these people, right? Like we look at like Keke Palmers of the world, like they're normal people. They're not 99%ers. They're 1%ers. Everything they do is calculated. Everything they do, using all her friends, whatever. Like even when you look at the scene, right? The amount of time that Usher's kind of like up on her and whatever is very minimal. Then there's a lot of times where they actually hug, they're laughing and joking and talking, dude. Again, when you realize that Usher's like 15, 16 years older than her and he's known her since she was a very little girl, you kind of realize right. So you kind of realize that it's not like a thing where it's really hypersexualized to the two of these two people. Because I remember different like interactions that they had when she was much, much younger, right? Because she had a big crush on Usher when she was younger. So that's when you start realizing you can put the pieces together and say, actually, I can track almost exactly what's happening in this scenario, because I've seen it happen time and time again with these child actresses who want to start playing adult woman roles, and the industry won't let them unless they come out and do something very overtly sexual publicly, right? You see it with Miley Cyrus, you saw it with even like Britney Spears trying to do stuff like that, right? Like all of these Kyla Pratt, a bunch of these child actresses, they come out, they do something overtly sexual so they can start being seen as adults by the industry. Now, when you say, well, why would I say that it's okay for these actresses and actors and singers and whatever to behave in a certain way? Because that's literally what the industry is doing, right? Sex sells is so standard for media of all kinds. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Why are you saying we're gonna chime in? E. Somebody asked a question I thought was a good one, and I'm just asked to be asked. They said, "So does she owes responsibility to everyone's feelings?" Go ahead, E.
To answer that question, no, she doesn't have to be responsible for everyone's feelings. This is why prior to us coming up here, we were talking about roasting and how the U.S. is a roast nation, but we're also the most sensitive nation as well. Nevertheless, um, every relationship has boundaries. There is no definite answer of how a household is supposed to be ran because that varies different from culture to culture. When you're in a relationship with someone, a committed relationship with someone, you do have your boundaries that you set. Um, that what can be crossed and what cannot be crossed. But once again, we're talking about a younger couple. They probably never had this conversation in the first place. Even mature relationships, a lot of people don't have these conversations. And then as for Miss Ruby speaking on it was probably planned, I did feel like that I started thinking that way a couple days ago because when you think everything that has happened since this incident, Kiki's on tour singing. She's popped up on stage and she has an album I think that has just came out or is about to come out. People are streaming her music. I always knew Keke could sing, but she wasn't noted as a singer. She wasn't recognized as a singer. She was recognized as an actress. And you have to think about it. You have other celebrities who have went down the same road. Prime example, Beyonce. Everyone knew Beyonce first as, in the little girl group, Destiny's Child, and she went solo. She grew up, and then she tried acting. Unfortunately, she sucked at it. But it's petty E all the way, petty E all the way. And so you have people who do these things, moreover celebrities or people who stand out in the spotlight, they will do something to get people speaking about them. So now everybody's talking about Keke Palmer on social media. Guess what? She's getting paid for that. She is definitely going to clear more money this year than she probably cleared in the last 3 years. 3 to 5 years, I will put it at that.
I'll let Lola go. But so with that being said, so what about her man? She making all the bank. So what about her man's feelings?
Well, this is how I put things. I've been in a lot of spaces where a lot of men are complaining about the quote unquote modern day woman. Keke Palmer was like this before she got with him. She was always outspoken. She was all about women's rights. She was all pro women. She was all about the alphabet. She was all about all of these things. She's always been referring to herself as quote unquote the boss, the bad witch, whatever you want to say. She's always done that. And so for you to come up to a woman and expect her to change that overnight or because she got impregnated or whatever, we knew that was not going to change overnight. It's kind of like that same woman that goes after the bad guy and feels that she can change him and she can't because he done did this to countless other women. It's the same situation.
All right, fair enough. Lola?
Yes, I had a and I totally agree with you, Lady E. I had a question for Wes. Wes, do you think that maybe you are projecting something as it pertains to what issue with Keke Palmer as it pertains to the perspective?
Your mic breaking up, Lola.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, repeat yourself.
Are you Mr. West, do you feel that to a degree you may be projecting a little bit as it pertains to the perspective of Darius in that when he made his comment about his discontent, it was about her dress, not about what she was doing with Usher, because and I asked you that because you said, well, she was acting promiscuous, and you're speaking about how she was parading herself in the circumstance. And honestly, I've been a teenager. I don't know how do you sing with a guy like Usher in a different way. I don't know. But specifically for Darius, I want to know, do you feel that maybe you're projecting a little bit per se, because he technically didn't have an issue with what she was doing, rather what she was wearing? Never mind the contradiction in his own actions about what she was wearing. But do you feel you're projecting at this point based on that?
No.
Can I add one more thing I forgot to mention?
Sure, go ahead.
The other thing I forgot to mention, we was talking about how Keke is expected to set a standard or, behave a certain way as a wife, significant other, someone that's in a committed relationship. But no one, you notice the media never attacked Usher. Usher's a married man. He is dancing on women. He's serenading women. He's on stage taking off his shirt and also dancing provocative, but no one ever complained about that. And I've said in other spaces, that's why I don't like to have the relationship conversations. But I really do feel that women are held at a higher standard than some men. A lot of women are held at a higher standard than men. And some people would say, well, the man, he's the provider for the household and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, she's the provider of that household.
Well,
I ain't gonna lie, that kind of hit below the belt for most men when you said that. But I will say this to respond to what you said about what Usher do. Did his wife made a complaint?
We don't know that, but they're the mature couple. Maybe they talk about this, but obviously she's okay with it. But they are married. So, and she also married him knowing this is what he do for a living. This is how he makes money. This is how he brings the bread to the table.
All right, I'm gonna say bacon, but yum.
That goes to the point that I was just asking Wes. At the end of the day, if a significant other has a specific problem with something, right, we trust that whatever problem they're saying they have, that's the problem that they have with the circumstance. If we're going to now become the moral police and say, well, no, the problem is this, or whatever the case may be, in truth, we are, and I may be guilty of it too, we are projecting our own religious, moral, or personal standards on someone else. Mr. Darius has no issue with Usher as far as I can tell. Usher's wife or girlfriend has no issue with what he was doing. We have no evidence of that. So therefore, for us to even entertain that, it's just us entertaining our own issues. And to Wes, to your point, as you said, between a couple, you have to respect their boundaries. In this couple, their boundary is not what she was doing. He has no problem with that. The boundary was what she was wearing. Now, we can talk about that based on her history, like Lady E just explained, based on his Twitter and all of his social media history that he seemed to be okay with. We can debate that. But what we can't debate is what is not on the table, which is his sentiments about what she was doing. I do take some offense to someone claiming that she was doing something so egregious by just two-step dancing with him and then doing a turnaround. Like, that was so egregious. Like, right now we're dealing with women in school, in elementary schools, twerking for 8-year-old children, but people are talking about her turning around in a see-through dress. Like, let's just be honest for a minute. And if you don't want to be honest with us about that, that's fine. But I just thought I would point that out.
It's fast.
Wes, you have something to say?
Sure. Well, first of all, Darius does not have a relationship with Usher. I'm not defending Usher. Nobody should be defending Usher, but the issue was between Darius and Keke. And they sounded like you're defending young girls twerking in elementary school, the way you make the argument, but I know that you're not trying to do that. Thing is, if what she was wearing, and she was displaying herself very promiscuously. If we as a society want to have these societal conversations, that's a part of it. Why do we have these women on stage dressed promiscuously in front of young girls? 'Cause I've always told people why I don't take my daughters to concerts, because I'm like, I don't want to take my daughters to a woman singing sexual songs and dressed in her underwear. So these young girls that are twerking in elementary school, which is disgusting. They're also seeing this stuff of a woman that's in a committed relationship and has a child, and she's up there, being promiscuous. I'm sorry.
I have one
Acting
question.
promiscuously.
Isn't there an age limit? Like, don't you? I'm not sure. Did you have to be 18 or older to go to that venue, to go to that concert? Because that's Vegas, so I do know that there's a lot of requirements.
That's a good
Well,
question.
I've known lots of parents that take their 7, 8-year-old daughters to concerts that I honestly don't think they should be taking their concerts to. There's a popular singer, Ariana Grande. I remember that specifically. Mother taking her 8-year-old daughter to go see Ariana Grande, and I'm like, well, do you not listen to her songs? Do you know what she's singing about? Have you not seen her videos of her concerts? She's dressed in her underwear and talking about sex. And this is what you want to display to 8-year-old girls.
This is what we've been listening to on the radio as a kid. We don't understand what we're listening to until you become of a certain age, and it's like, oh. Because I've done that several times. I've sung songs that I've sang since I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And when you go back and revisit these songs from the 80s and 90s and you listen to it, it's like, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, see, now we have music videos too that kind of display it. But when that stuff comes on the radio, I change the radio.
Well, I respect that. You have and the government and our culture respects the fact that you have a right to pick and choose how you want to raise your children. But that's the fallacy of freedom. Everybody has the freedom to do what they want as long as it's within the confines of what has been dictated by our culture and or our governmental bodies. So yes, no one can take how you choose to raise your children away. However, at the same time, you can't take that away from someone else because they're doing something that you don't like. And I get it. I don't agree with certain things, right? But if I want the freedom to do what I want to do, I got to allow other people to have the freedom to do what they're doing without me feeling like, okay, life is coming to an end. But I will say this. I think you slightly misinterpreted what I'm saying. I never said that Mr. Darius has a problem with Usher. What I literally said is he did not say that his problem was with what was going on physically with Usher. He didn't say, I don't like how she was dancing on him. I don't like how they were touching. They were standing too close. His hand was in the wrong place. Her hand was in the wrong place. He didn't say that. So for us to keep talking as if he's seen her as being provocative, that's a lie. Like, it's just a lie. It's not even projection. It's a lie. It does not exist. But what he does have an issue with is how she's dressed, which, like you mentioned, we can have a conversation about that. However, I just seen Beyonce in even less clothes in front of children. So the thing is, what are we talking about here? At the end of the day, that's Vegas. I was recently in Vegas. That is not a place where children are. She has a right to dress provocatively in a club where men and women dress provocatively and do even worse provocative things. That's where she was at. As we know, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's what she was doing. It's not her fault someone pulled out a camera and then wanted to blast it everywhere so all the children can be privy to it. However, she wasn't doing anything wrong.
She knew that camera was there. She looked right at that camera and she made sure she squared her butt off and made sure it looked good before she turned back around. But I agree with you, though. I do agree with you about the Vegas part of it, but she knew that camera was there. Like,
so what happens in Vegas stays on YouTube.
Honestly, but to your point, right? Whether she was showing off for a camera or not, it was an adult venue. So therefore, we're not going to sit here and act like this is what she pushes to young children. This is what she wants the world to see of her in at Disney. That's not what this is. So let's kind of like be a little bit of more of adult and give both of her and Darius credit that Darius as a man has a right to say, I don't have a problem with what they did. I have a problem with how she was dressed, and that's it. Without us saying, oh, she was acting immoral, because that's how you and your relationship would go. Like, let's be clear about that. I wouldn't have done that, but I'm not saying that that's not what they should be doing.
See, but I disagree with the premise that Darius had the right to say that. If we just look through again, you said we can have that discussion. I would absolutely have that discussion, because if Darius has posted pictures of her more naked than she was on stage, then you can't then turn around and act like it's this major affront to your relationship that she has now been viewed and it's going to be on the internet with her having more clothes on than some of the pictures you've posted of her
Yeah,
for
that was
the world to see. It's ridiculous.
That was hypocrisy because he showed the video of her, the skin tight leopard. And then at the same time, she went and showed like a sheer black outfit, which I actually thought the sheer black outfit with her and Usher was a little bit more tasteful than the leopard thing. I don't know. I just don't have. I have a thing about leopard. I don't know, but I thought that was a little bit more extra. And plus the booty cheeks. I was like, Dad, Keke got buns now. Like, wow. But her man showed it and put it on Instagram. So I think, but I will say this: I was actually trying to look on the Usher concert in Vegas. I can't pinpoint the actual age limit, except for the one I'm seeing here. That's the LasVegasTickets.com in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Usher/Las Vegas. It says age requirement: age 5 and up. Ages 5 to 17 must be accompanied by an adult.
Look at it like this. I seen liquor happening up in there, and I highly doubt people bringing their 5-year-olds to places where it's celebrities and liquor going on and people dancing and grinding up against each other, except for some pedophiles, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, she wasn't in there with nothing on her brain. Like, let me show off for the kiddies. That's not what it was.
She wasn't there with her baby.
Yeah, I just want to add on to this
Because
conversation.
someone mentioned about children being in the place, and it really isn't a place for children, even if children were allowed. Somebody did.
Somebody asked about an age limit requirement, so I just wanted to look that up and just show that just to add to some of the conversation. But Paulo had something to say.
No, my thing is there seems to be a fallacy in a lot of these conversations, adult conversation, in the sense that we speak on freedom to do or follow and adhere to whatever standards that we practice in private. However, there's another part of that. If you're part of any society or any community, there's a societal standard that all people, whether they like it or not, have to follow. We label this as culture or what not. So in this conversation, and anyone on this panel, please correct me if I'm deviating off here. What we're doing is we're condemning a set of behavior shown by both people, by Keke Palmer and by Darius. We all have differing opinion of what we condemn them for, but from my end, it's an unstructured relationship from the beginning. And the previous conversation has just alluded to that. He showed her in a particular dress, and now he's complaining in the public eye of her in something similar. However, she's giving attention to another man. Right. So it's an unstructured relationship from the beginning. I would like to think that these two people, if they were serious about their child, and not only that, the relationship that they have, they seek out a older couple who have done this for years and have a conversation with them. What does a relationship look like? What does success look like in a long-term and healthy relationship? So we can have all these things. Oh, no one can have a say as long as you do good by yourself and the people around you. To a certain degree, yes. But when we bring up the fact that there are children, privy to things that they shouldn't be, then we have to talk at a societal level. And at a societal level, there has to be a standard, a code of conduct for all people, regardless of whatever status you're on.
Right. But then why won't you talk about the fact that that same societal standard that, we would apply to, say, relationships and what would make a relationship successful or not? There's also other types of societal standards. One would be, again, about what is acceptable, not only acceptable, but desirable, not only acceptable, not only desirable, but literally needed in order for you to sell a TV show, a movie, musicians, right? I mean, there are a whole bunch of societal standards in the Western world that dictate what kind of look, what kind of clothing, what kind of behavior, what kind of attitude, whatever is going to sell and is going to be marketable if you are in particular areas as far as, again, singing, acting, dancing, whatever it is, right? And so in that same way, right, for a lot of us who aren't in those industries, that's not applicable to our lives. So when we only want to talk about the concept of, on a societal level, what functions well for relationships and what kind of role models we want to be for kids who can see us in our relationships and whatever, that's one thing. But when you have people who do work in these industries, and these are both men and women, right? And it's an important part of society. Let's be real. Like, if you got rid of entertainment as a general whole, it would be a problem, right? Entertainment has always been really incredibly important to humanity in general. So, you know, there are standards that the people who are actors and actresses and singers and performers and whatever have to also meet, right? And that's where, again, it comes down to there's certain types of behavior, certain types of clothing. And if you're in that industry, that's what you're going to do on a public level, right? Now, let's not get it twisted, though. It's not just the Western world. I mean, shoot, I have a couple of videos of, for example, one performer who literally had a topless show pre-scheduled for this event, and then the kids, there was just an audience of kids, but her show was a topless show, so she just went on, and the parents just let the kids sit there and watch. Wild, right? This is in France. Wild, I know, but the point is that performers, they do this all in advance. It's well scheduled out, it's well planned out, you know, and they go on with the show no matter what it is. And that show is planned based on what is marketable, okay? People are only willing to pay Usher or Keke or whoever if they are going to meet these certain demands of what's saleable versus what's not. And so that's what's planned out well in advance. Now, if a bunch of people decide to bring their 5 to 17-year-old kids there, because technically that's what America has allowed, is, well, it's a little bit racy. So 5 to 17, as long as you bring a parent, it's cool. And a bunch of parents want to do that. That doesn't affect the fact that Usher, Keke, and whoever else is performing has spent months sometimes working on this performance, right? It's not going to change because, oh, well, we have 12-year-olds. So you know what? We got to change the performance. That's not what's going to happen, right? They're going to go forward with the performance that was already set, that was made to sell to a bunch of adults. And if you're selling to adults, what do adults want? Sex. Why? Because sex sells. The end, right? Like we can't pretend that these societal standards don't exist when it comes to media and performance and other things, just because technically we feel like, well, I don't feel like that would be a great role model for being a wife for me. Yeah, don't marry an industry woman. Don't marry an industry person. If you couldn't handle that, if it wouldn't be comfortable for you, don't get involved with people like that. Don't marry people like that, you know, or who are in those industries. But if you do, and if someone does, we have to accept that, yeah, there should be, and there definitely are different standards for public behavior for them. And their public behavior is not necessarily a reflection at all whatsoever of what their private behavior is.
Well, you mentioned France. So is France part of the West?
I mean, see, this is the thing, right? I don't consider it part of the West, but you know, I do hear sometimes people group it in, right? Because sometimes I hear people talk about how they're very old world, very traditionalist and whatever, and then people will hit on some of these things. For example, their overt nakedness being pretty acceptable, and you know, the sluttiness being acceptable, and then people will group them in with the West. So I think it depends. I don't know. To me, I would say not, but I don't know.
Fair enough. Anybody else?
By the way, just going to the standard thing, I completely agree with the vast majority of what you were saying, Ruby. I think when I speak on standards prior, I'm talking about the average people with what we see as relationship and our behavior in relationship. I think that should be a standard all across the board, because at the end of the day, even though they might have a couple more zeros in their bank account, they're still normal human beings. So there's still a level of standard when you act and behave in a relationship. And someone mentioned integrity and respect. That's pretty standard all across the board. Now, whether Hollywood has a standard of selling sex, I think that's part of the problem too. But that's a different conversation. It shouldn't matter in terms of, I'm a human being, you're a human being, I've committed to you in a relationship, I have a baby to you in a relationship, I should act in a way that it's upholding our relationship, regardless of whether I'm a celebrity or not.
That's true, but what's upholding my relationship, right? This is, I think people do this a lot, right? Again, is they're projecting based on their own subjective experience of life, and you know, their own values, their own standards, their own boundaries of what makes them comfortable or makes them feel threatened or makes them feel disrespected or whatever, right? And then they project it onto everybody, right? But the truth is that people who are in a certain, this is why industry people tend to date industry people, right? Because they have a different set of pressures and a different set of, you know, expectations and whatever. And so therefore, the things that would be determined as cheating or disrespect or whatever would be different. If you're an actor, if you're a huge actor, right, making out with people on screen, probably going to be your bread and butter, especially if you're really high paid, right? But now, for me, if I'm just like an amateur actor, down the block, whatever, it's probably going to be a bigger deal to my husband if I'm like, well, I have to make out with this guy for this play that no one's paying me to act in, right? Like, no, you don't, right? But if I'm going to get paid, $50 million and there's that one sex scene and whatever for me to accept that role, so I'm going to turn down the $50 million, turn down the development of my career. Like, no, right? And so that the stressors and the pressures are different. Therefore, the expectations of what behavior is acceptable or not tends to be different. And I'm saying that as someone who was at one point pursuing the entertainment industry, right? And so I could tell you that my behavior, as far as say some of the things I wore in public to be modeling them, is not something I would have chosen to wear to a club, right? But of course, that would have been, the difference was, am I choosing to put this on to go party with random people, or am I putting this on because I'm being paid to wear it because this is what baby fat is advertising right now, right? There's a difference between those two things. And anyone who's going to date me knows I'm modeling or I'm singing or I'm acting or whatever, right? They're going to have to decide before they ever date me whether or not that's a shift they can make, because not everyone can, right? But this is my job. So if you can't deal with my job, you don't get to date me. And then once it's serious, now say, well, my boundary says, no. If your boundaries, right? If your boundaries already will not accept my job, don't date me, right? Because this is my job. This is part of my job, right? And I have no problem setting other kinds of boundaries. I have no problem not crossing any other kinds of lines, right? But if it's part of my job description, you can't turn around and decide once we're already established, listen, you are violating my boundaries now because, like, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I got to ask this.
Pushback on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Wes.
So there actually are Hollywood actors that when they get married, they will tell a director, or they tell whoever they're working with, saying, hey, I'm in a relationship with this person. I'm not going to be doing this stuff on screen. And they honor that. A popular one would be Chris Hemsworth. Throughout all the movies he's done with Natalie Portman, the one kissing scene where the one kissing scene that they have, he's actually kissing his wife. And there are several other actors in Hollywood that do stuff like that. They say, I'm not, we can act on screen all we want, but I am not going to kiss someone that is not my spouse. So,
and this is why we create boundaries, because this is why we have different subgroups of Christianity religion. It's because some people agreed with some things, like I like this and that. Huh?
That's not Christianity.
But you still have different denominations of the religion that all believe.
I did not bring up Christianity.
I understand what you're saying, but they still quote unquote identify. You have different religions, so you have Catholic, you have Baptist, you have 7 Days Adventist, all of that.
But why are you bringing up religion, though? I wasn't talking about religion. This has nothing to do with religion. I personally am agnostic.
I never said it had anything to do with religion. What we're speaking on, everyone has their boundaries. Everyone has a standard. Everyone has their morale. So not everybody is going to agree with everyone. Everyone's not going to be on the same page. The same way we're in a lot of these spaces where you have people say they have a blueprint to the perfect relationship, but they're all different. They may agree on some things, but then you have some people who like, no, well, this doesn't apply to this group over here, or this doesn't apply to us. We'll follow this, but we'll do this over here because we don't necessarily agree with that over here. That's all that I'm trying to do, is make a parallel comparison. I'm not bringing religion in it as part of the case. I'm just making a comparison. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. The point I was trying to bring up is that it's not impossible to have a moral relationship in Hollywood.
Well, it kind of, see, it's not that it's impossible, right? But you have to think about that's like the 1% of the 1%. In order for, see, for example, a Brad Pitt, an Angelina Jolie, right? There's certain people who make it, who are that big and that desirable and are that talented, right? And that well connected, that they can pretty much write the book on what their standards are. And people will change roles, change what this role is supposed to do to accommodate certain people. And then there's other people who don't get that. So for example, Alicia Silverstone. So everyone knows she is. Now she's acting again at like 50 something, right? But do you know why she dropped off the face of the planet for like 20 years, despite the fact that Clueless was hugely successful? It's because unlike everyone else, she wasn't willing to shave her legs and her underarms. This is not even a sexual thing. She was not willing to shave her body, right? But the industry requires you to be hairless everywhere. So if you notice in Clueless, she's
Who's
always
this again?
covered. Alicia Silverstone, right?
Emotional damage.
So you'll
She
notice
didn't
she's covered
disappear
everywhere.
though.
She did. She did for a good long time. And actually they used to talk about it. And I know because I used to read, back I was a kid back then, right? So I read 17 and Cosmo and all these magazines back in the day. We used to talk about it. And they used to interview her about it. And she's just said she was not willing to compromise that. She didn't think it was fair or right because they don't make that demand of men. Now they do. Now they make men, wax their chests and whatever for their little sexy muscular time and whatever. But yeah, no, it was a big deal in the 90s. Right? This happens all the time in a variety of different ways. And people don't realize the kind of crazy standards that they will have. And the majority of actors and actresses can literally lose they might be on a nice trajectory and now they're just going to flatline and they might do the occasional Law and Order SVU or something, right? They'll never get way up here. Once you're already way up there, fine, maybe you could write your ticket a little bit more, maybe, right? But it's trying to get up there. Most actors and actresses, even if you know them, they're not that comfortable. They're not that established, right? They still have jobs at random things, just trying to make ends meet, just because you saw them in that one movie or whatever, right? So we don't realize that, no, you don't get to. The very large majority of actors and actresses, you're not willing to do it. Cool, no problem. We'll move on to someone who is. And trust me, there's a lot of people who are more than willing to do this thing and see it as no big deal. And that's why, unfortunately, you see other actresses who went the other way, right? So what's her name? Lisa Bonet, right? God literally had sex during her literal sex scene because she was told that that's what they actually do. And she didn't want to lose that opportunity, right? She didn't want to just lose it. So, okay, fine. She thought that it was true. When she was told by Billy Bob that, no, you actually really have sex during sex scenes, she believed it. And so she let him have sex with her. See, it happens all the time. Why? Because women and men in the industry who are brand new, they see it all the time. Someone says no to something, you never see them again. Or you know what, they never get to be successful. The person who said yes, they're the one who blows up. It's just what it is. It's the industry.
All this confirms to me is Hollywood is a very toxic space and culture to be in.
Why would you want to date someone in Hollywood? That sounds gross.
Yeah, because I'm a big component when it comes to the kids, and I don't want to. Yeah, so with that being said, so she got a baby with them. They've been girlfriend and boyfriend. I don't want to speculate on why they didn't get married, but I have to say this: what Paulo said. So, can we all agree that their relationship is unstructured?
So, what do you mean by unstructured? Can you give me a definition of that?
What Paulo brought up. So, Paulo, you want to go ahead and poke the bear with that one?
Yeah, so here's a prime example. I belong to corporate space and construction here in New Zealand, and I had a function just about 2 weeks ago. My wife went out and picked a dress, and before she picked the one that she was going to go with, she sent me a series of photos and said, "Which one would you prefer me to wear?" And I picked the one that was representative of our relationship, who we are as people, right? So that structure for me is that my wife seeks my approval in the matters that it's important for us in a relationship, and I look to her counsel in the things that matters to us in a relationship that she's more optimal for. Prime example, our children. She deals with them on a day-to-day basis. So there are certain things that we have discussions, and I seek her counsel in that. So that's part and parcel of that's part of what structure means to me and what it looks like in a very particular event. in this example, you have a young man who didn't probably have the conversation with Keke Palmer and said, look, here are my boundaries. Here are how we should look like in the public eye as people who belong in the public eye. These are the things that we're going to do and go from there. Not wait until the event has happened and then post, but you're a mother though. I don't know. That's
Well, yeah.
I think it's a little. I think things. I will agree that things are disordered in that he's out of order. Meaning his tweet was very carefully crafted. I noticed that he say, anything that would put him in the wrong in terms of him having authority over her, but he wanted to create the narrative that as a man I should have some authority. But the truth of the matter is, in our culture as human beings, there's a certain position that you have because you've earned that. You don't get authority simply because you exist. That's not male culture. That's not American culture. That's not world culture. I don't know where that comes from. But if you feel the need to put a baby in a woman that you don't want to marry, you do not have the authority. You do not have the right. You do not have the natural right to call shots over her. You just don't. And I know people want women to act a certain way without being told anything and basically submit to some, I don't know, moral standard that has something to do with marriage, but not really. If a man is not willing to marry her, then I don't understand what else are we talking about. Because honestly, right, both of them playing. Like he playing with her, she playing with him. They 20-something years old. Like this is what they doing. So if Darius wants to say, I understand that I should have authority, he understands he should be married to her. There's no in-betweens on that. Do not pull the moral card. And you have not done the work that you need to do, because the only thing that's going to happen is the devil going to come out. That's the only thing that happens.
Hold on, Wes. Lola. Hold on.
Completely.
Lola, was that a calculated tweet? Because I don't think it worked in his favor.
No. When I say calculated, I mean
It's a miscalculated tweet.
He was calculated to the point. He was calculated to the point where he didn't say, I have authority over my wife and my child. He didn't say that. He said over a wife, which he wants to talk about her, and then he said over my family, which it ain't his family if he has no legal or moral or like no type of tie there. Like it's not your family, man. That's just a chick you got pregnant.
All right, I just want to calculate. I want to calculate the calculation.
Child, he's got a family.
Hey, I like her.
He made sure not to say my wife, because he knows that when you say my wife, you automatically have authority. But when you just her live-in babysitter or boyfriend, like, come on, dude, like, stop.
Live-in babysitter?
Yes, he's a live-in
He's
babysitter.
the father of her child. Live-in babysitter?
A live-in babysitter.
You just demasculate that man, Lola.
Is there nothing expected out of a man?
I'm not even.
So women here, ladies, is there no expectation from your man? You have no expectations from the men in your life.
Hold on, Wes. I'm talking to Great Pill for a second. Great Pill, what else does he do but give her in-house dick and babysit? What else does he do?
He been an emotional provider for her.
No, you don't know that. You do not know he's providing emotionally for her. You don't know that. What else do we know that he does other than give her penis and baby?
To be fair now, Lola, hold on. To be fair now, we saw emotion in that tweet. That calculated emotional tweet.
No, that's his personal emotion. I don't have, and nobody has anything to do with that.
That's emotional unintelligence.
Great Pill. You're making light of it, but I'm being dead ass serious. At the end of the day, I don't know what their personal relationship is, or even if they have one for real. We don't know that. But what I do know is he gives her penis. I know he lives with her. I know every time I see them together, he the one with the baby. And I know when she on stage working, he got the baby. So technically, you're in-house babysitter. That's what you there to do, to give her penis when she wanted and babysit that child. Other than that, you play no other role in her life. My thing is, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying, what else do you do?
Lola.
You know what though? Here's
Well,
my issue,
yeah.
right? Is he set himself up, okay? Because he's the one who wrote these things. He wrote, "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want the wife and mother to his kids to showcase booty cheeks." And I've seen a lot of people review this issue, right? And they went, "Oh, when he said that, I said, oh yeah, that's his wife. So therefore, right? Because even he wrote it in that way so he could get the support, because there's not a lot of people who would say, dude, you know what, listen, you decided to marry this man. At that time, I'm sure y'all took vows, but y'all also decided at that time to lay out what your boundaries were, what your rules, expectations are, so on and so forth. Y'all decided to do that, right? He's acting as though you violated something in that, and you know what, that's not cool. Everyone would agree with that, right? That's why he wrote wife, except he's not married to her, right? So you can't turn around and call yourself traditional and you're just a traditional man and whatever. But meanwhile, you decide to impregnate the girl and not marry her. But you're so traditional. You're so traditional with it.
So
He
if
set
they were
himself up
married,
for
this
this
would be a different
argument.
conversation.
Well, see, that's the thing, right? If he was married to her, I think a lot of people would have a different conversation. A lot of people who are saying, hey, Keke, da da da. But my thing would still be, right? My position would still stand at the fact that I'm positive that they did actually have this discussion ahead of time. And they did outline what was going to be said, what's going to be done, and whatever, right? This is what people do in general. We don't see any of these stars in their private lives, right? We like to criticize what happens afterwards as though somehow or another one of these women violated their husband, but a lot of times, or their man, but a lot of times the discussion did happen, right? It's just society is not happy with the conclusions that came to as a result. I don't think that he was shocked about any of this at all, period. I think he knew exactly what dress she was going to be wearing. I think he knew exactly she was going to the Usher concert. This was going to happen. I think he knew all of it, right? I think what he was not ready for was what it was going to feel like as the man sitting there in the middle of this backlash with hundreds of thousands, who knows how many men up in his DMs or whatever, or adding him or whatever, adding her and shaming him for filth, telling him he's not a real man, he's a beta, he's a cuck, he's a this, he's a that. I don't think he was prepared for that. I think he knew exactly what was going to happen, and he agreed to it, and that's why it happened. And that's why just the day before she's sitting there talking about how much she loves her man, right? How supportive he is, how great he is, da, 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 da. This was a plan. They knew. He was not expecting things to go down the way it did from society. And that's why he felt the need, before she was even available to be texted, that's why he felt the need to say something about it online, because he wasn't responding to her. He was responding to countless men out there calling him a cuck and a beta this and a da 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 da. And he already saw, everyone saw what happened to Will Smith, right? Everyone saw what happens to Russell all the time, right? Everyone saw what happened to K-Fed, right? And he's basically another K-Fed, right? So yeah, he's sitting there defending his manhood from jump. And I think that that's really what happened. And people are forgetting that, hey, you shamed this man for filth over decisions that he made with his wife in his relationship that was best for them. And no one is willing to respect that. No one is willing to respect that at all.
It's a big assumption that you keep saying that he was in on it. I don't think he was in on it.
No, it's actually a good assumption. It's very highly probable, because when you are a celebrity on that caliber, when you're going to these events, the dress that she wore, I'm pretty sure she didn't buy it. And usually people like that, you'll have designers. I want you to wear my dress. I want you to wear this. And it's basically free advertisement. They don't pay for these dresses. So I'm pretty sure, as for me, just like, I'm sorry, Mr. Paulo, I'm sorry if I said your name incorrectly.
No, you're good.
You know
You're
how
good.
you spoke on your wife when she had an event and she took some pictures of dresses and sent it. I'm sure as she was trying on the dresses and going through, she was getting his opinion. I do that too. When me and mines go to events, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then we coordinate. Like, we always want to make sure when we're out there that, you know, we're dressed to the T, that we're gonna, in some cases, turn heads.
Well, she wasn't with them.
Yeah.
She was, no, I'm just using it as an example as to her sharing the outfits or the dresses, as to, I have this option, I have that option. Babe, what you think about this? What do you think about that? That's really a girl thing.
And so, are we in agreement that this is an unstructured relationship? And by the way, when I mean structure, it always falls back on the man. It falls back on the man, and the points that
I don't know. I
you've
never thought it
alluded
was
to,
structured.
Ruby, and to
And
Oshun, in the sense that he did not foresee the reaction that whatever, if it, let's assume that you're right, Ruby, they've discussed this, they've coordinated the dress and all of these things, but he wasn't ready for the reaction. That's when we look at a man who's structured and he's in a relationship and he structured his relationship in a way and manner that's somewhat quote unquote traditional. That is a man who has prepared himself to walk into the role of a husband, whether that's for a ring or long term relationship. He's ready for that role and he's prepared to take the authority that he should have as a husband. It's a man who's walked into the role of a father and take on that responsibility, ready to be a father. Right. So that's when I say this a structured relationship, that's what I mean. And this falls harshly on a lot of young men now, but that's
very
what I mean.
unstructured. And the tweet came back to bite him because of his previous post. And I'm not exactly sure how old the baby is, but the baby is like less than 6 months old, if I'm not mistaken. And so, and um, just like Grey Pill was saying, you know, he was on his feed and posting videos of her twerking and like literally just booty, peach, cheeks, all in the camera, nothing else. It's okay for me to do this, but it's not okay for you to wear. Like you put her behind out there on social media. You literally put her ass on social media. Literally. But then we're complaining about this. Like it just seems, it's staged. And so this was a short, and this was after they had the baby. This wasn't before they had the baby. This was after they had the baby, after she had given birth. He's putting these videos of her on social media. He's sexualizing his significant other, his wife, his baby mom. He's sexualizing her on social media. So I think that was probably one of the biggest reasons why it came back to slap him in the face.
Okay.
Because he still did not create that standard or, you know.
True. Are you amused says, and I have to agree to this one. She asks, and we get yes and no around the table. Can we just acknowledge at the fact that he was jealous and it is okay? Yeah, I would agree that I think he was jealous.
No.
And that you saying no? Why?
No, he didn't.
He wasn't jealous?
No, he didn't say. He didn't say anything that indicated he was jealous. Just like Lady E just said.
The calculated tweets.
He hold on. He literally showed the world that when he wants accolades for how good her ass looks, he wants to control it. But when she wants accolades for how good her ass looks, he don't want that. He wants to control when her ass is being seen on the screen and not. That sounds more like a pimp to me. So my thing is, it's not that he was jealous of Usher. No, he was not jealous of Usher. In fact, I don't think he gave a damn about Usher at the end of the day. But this is what we're looking at. So no, I'm not going to give him, oh, he was acting jealous like a regular human being. No, because he wasn't doing what regular human beings do. If I'm a woman, I'm about to put my man's penis print online and be like, oh my God, look at my man penis, is so big. And then when he walked down the street in shorts, and I'm like, oh my God, you showing people how big your penis is. It's like, listen, I'm the one that's bipolar, not anybody else.
All right, now you got to address that one because first of all, it was an outfit versus actually showing body parts, two different things.
What is he jealous of?
Can you look at your messages, please?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. But
I want you to just share that because again, there's a lot of different information that you can see, like that's supporting. I'm not making it up. That I'm just saying these things. Like he knew.
Yeah, but I want because Lola said he's a pimp, so I would like to know how and what way he's a pimp.
No, okay. What I'm saying is, like they said earlier.
So he's not a pimp.
No, he's showing that he at least would like to be a pimp because if you want to show your girl's body off to get somebody liking your pics and you feel good when other dudes come to your page and like your girl naked pics, like, but then when she on her own showing her own nakedness, you like, what you doing without me? I'm the one that's supposed to be showing your naked pics. That's reminiscent of pimp culture to me. Now maybe I'm wrong, you know what I mean, but that seems to be the case with me. And then I would still ask the question, What is he jealous of? Is he jealous of the fact that he can't dress like her? Is he jealous of the fact that, well, he should have been there? And I don't know. Like, is he jealous of Usher because he didn't say anything about, look what she doing with that dude? No, he fine with what happened with that dude. So again, I don't know. I'm not gonna give him that out to say, oh, you was being a regular 20-something-year-old guy and you was a little jealous. No, dude was not jealous. He was being crazy.
All right. Well, anybody else got to say that while I'm pulling up what Ruby sent me? I saw Paulo laugh about the pimp comment. Wes got the thinking cap on.
Well, I'm not really seeing. You're making a really big stretch there to accuse him of pimp-like behavior. Really big stretch. I'm not seeing this, and this revolves around the fact that, you know, she decided to get up with Usher, was dancing, displaying her body. And this, it's, yeah, he probably did get, he probably did get jealous because that's kind of this foul behavior. And everyone keeps acting like things are only expected from women in a relationship. No, things are expected from men as well. Because does this, you know, being that Keke went out and did this with Usher, does this mean Darius can go out to the club and start doing that with random women in the club? Or are we going to make the defense that, oh, because it's Usher, it's okay?
No, it does. He can do that with other women. You know why? Because he's single as hell. That's why. And when he was with her, he was still single as hell. That's why he
what do you
can
mean?
do because he was single.
Well, yeah, in your mind, he's just the
if he's not married,
because
he's
you've made
single,
the argument. You've made the argument that he's just
if he's not married and he don't want to be married, he's single and he can do what he want to do as a single man.
You have made the argument that he is just a babysitter to his biological child.
He's just a baby. No. Let me roll that back. He's a babysitter. He's in-house babysitter to her. Okay, he's in-house penis to her. I'm not trying to say.
So he's just
I disagree with that.
He's just a boy toy. He's a groupie.
He is
that's
literally a boy toy. And here's how you know he a boy toy, because a couple days afterwards, she literally said that on stage while she was performing. Okay. So at the end of the day, that's their relationship. He knew that before he got with her. And I'm not going to sit and act like these are not two adults, even though they are very young. At the end of the day, I'm not telling you nothing that you can't see with your own two eyes. He lives with her. He gives her penis. He is not married to her by choice. Okay. And he babysits, meaning the child is physically with him when she's at work. That's called babysitting, sir.
All right, hold on. So speaking of that, so what are we looking here? Ruby.
Okay, so you can see.
Go ahead.
Yeah, look at what it says, right? Because if you want to know where I'm getting, it's a big leap. Well, no, she literally said deleting later. But first, let me say this: we live together. So if you think he didn't see my outfit before I left, if you think he didn't compliment me and slap me on my ass before I left, you're delusional. My outfit was never the problem. I mean, like, people are not using their common sense, right? Just the common sense of, so you think that somehow or another between all the fittings and then her leaving her house that day, that he never saw her? He just never saw her. No idea. He was so surprised by this dress. So Keke didn't want to be talking about her life publicly online, but, you know, it's just blowing up. So she finally started addressing some stuff like this. So he knew the dress was on her body. He knew exactly where she was going, and he knew exactly what she was going to do. Just like
before she walked out the house.
He knew exactly. In fact, he loved it, and he slapped her on the ass too. Right? Yeah, that's my baby. Right? He did it. Like, I'm sure as soon as she described that, everyone can picture that in their heads. Like, listen, you might not be cool with your woman wearing that dress, but guess what? He was. Okay. And like, we're pretending like, I mean, there's a picture, because we're talking about this leopard print dress or whatever. I don't even know what that is. What I'm talking about is the fact that man literally put the only thing she had on were like these black tights, like see-through tights, like stockings, right? But she's entirely topless. Otherwise, see her big pregnant belly. She has her hands over her boobs and whatever. He put that on his social media a long time. And that's not the only thing. He has no problem posting her half naked, mostly naked, sitting on the toilet naked pictures on his social media. So why are we pretending like he's all precious and whatever about protecting his naked baby mama? Like, no, that's not what happened. It never happened.
Right.
That's not his issue. It was never his issue. It might be your issue, but people need to stop projecting their issue onto this man because that's not his issue.
Right.
It can't be. Now, this is where everyone saw that and said, okay, see, so the issue therefore was Usher. And that's where I'm saying no. People are making the wrong logical leap to jealous about Usher. I don't think it has anything to do with jealous about Usher. I don't even really think Keke sees Usher that way and vice versa. Right? And people are like, oh, well, these days men want women who are younger and younger. That's true. But it is a little different for most people to watch someone grow up from the time they're children and now they're an adult is a little icky. For most people, there's a difference between that, right? Versus just seeing someone who's at that age and meeting them for the first time at this younger age, right? So, and he has known her since she was a little girl, and she's doing the little, I have a crush on Usher, but like it's just
Usher
fun with
has
your
a track
friends.
record for older women, anyways. For the record,
Yeah,
that's true. Actually, yeah, that's true. Because Chili's older. Chili was older. Just saying.
His ex-wife was older. Chili was older.
Shout out to Confessions because that was a bad album. That was a bad album.
Dude, and I was just watching Chili on a dating show.
Just to add insult to it, I'm gonna have to. I've been wanting to say the line, but like Usher said, after the night, don't leave your girl around me. True player for me, real ex my Negro for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's just a song. Come on now. Like, listen, Usher has a problem. Usher has a whole woman sitting there talking about how her literal pooch just was a very painful, inflamed place because of Usher. I mean, like, listen, Usher's sexual reputation has been through the ringer and back countless times, right? I don't think most people would be like, yo, if you had any worry that your girl slept with Usher, I think most people would understand that. But I just don't think that was his worry.
It'd be some people. I don't want to quote Lou, but Lou swore up and down like the fact that it is Usher. Like women just gonna just drop the draws and they just gonna go for Usher.
Probably, but not
because
that's what I'm saying.
That's ridiculous. And so then I've heard other people say they got their top 5, like the man and the woman, they got their top 5 or sometimes the top 3. I don't agree with this concept. If anything, it's a bit of a like fantasy football. Like you're never going to meet your top 5 or your top 3. They just make it for the fun of it. But if it ever comes up,
I'm from Jersey. I see a lot of people, and I'm like, I think that could be in the top 5.
If I'm with someone, I'm with someone. There are no others. I'm not gonna. I don't fuck around like that. I think that's disgusting behavior. Saying, well, yeah, I swear off all other women unless it's these 3 women, then it should be okay, right? No. There's nothing that they have. There's nothing they present that's more than what I have with me.
See, I agree with you though, right? I'm like that, right? But there's no evidence that Keke's not like that. And in fact, like I said, if you just objectively watch the whole video, right? Then what you see is Keke's like a really sad attempt at trying to be sexy. She's not really great at it, or being flirtatious. Again, not really great at it. If anything, she still looks like a kid, playing at being sexy than being sexy for real. Then she sings into the mic a little bit. Then she looks at everyone and goes, ha ha, looks at the camera, ha, guys, oh my God, I just sang a little Usher song for Usher, right? And then it's like, almost like she forgot, oh yeah, you got to show the ass, girl. So she finally, at the very last second, turns around, lets everyone see it for a second and turns back around. Now, for me, first of all, it is so obviously performed. The amount of times she looks directly at the same camera over and over and over again, right? The way that, like, it's clear that she's not an uber sexy kind of person. This is why I said it's very obvious to me what she's doing. Maybe it's because I know a lot of industry people and I was in that industry at one point, right? But it's very clear that she's trying to adultify her image, right? And she needs to do that, especially for the singing thing. I mean, you see, the other Chloe X Haley, the one who didn't make it to The Little Mermaid, the other one, right? She's doing the same thing. She's trying to adultify her image because otherwise it keeps you in this little Disney box and it's not great. And so that's all she was trying to do. And she did it with someone she trusts, but also could blow up her name and blow up the sex appeal of it all and whatever, i.e. Usher. Right? This is someone she's known for a very long time. There's someone she trusts, someone she knows how to take advantage of that, and someone who has that sex appeal to rub off on her, right? Just like Madonna kissing Christina Aguilera and whoever, right? Because Madonna has that sex symbol thing. So she's going to rub off on everybody. So one kiss, boom, there you go. You're right out of Disney, right? Like it's what happens. And we have to evaluate that information because it's it's valid information, and it's a valid kind of thing that we see child actors go through time and time again.
There we go. All right. Final thoughts so we get out of here because I want to rest up and go 12 o'clock midnight. That'll be the less than 2 hours for nights, where I will actually be having the reaction to Alex Playing with Fire with Janelle that was on supposed to be debating against Destiny, and Lauren De Laguna was on there. It's a very interesting conversation. So
is she going to be on here?
I'm sending her an invite because I don't feel like I'm talking about her, but I'm gonna send her the invite on because I think her I'll take out the details from there, but I'm gonna send her an invite to her Instagram. I believe that's what she has, and I saw that she has a Facebook, so I'm gonna send her the invite there. But I really want to go ahead and give my perspective of what I saw. But definitely because the stuff I seen there and the stuff that she was saying, I really would like women 12 o'clock midnight. Let me know with the Discord in the comments below or my my Instagram. Let me know if you want to invite because I would love to have educated women for you do? Okay. Yeah, definitely send her the URL link, and I will definitely send you a link to send her. But I would love to hear women's perspective on this one because a lot of stuff she was saying, I literally had to call up actual therapists in the line of what her professional is, and I'm like, it don't sound right. It sound like all cap, and I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, this is crazy. So for me, she fresh me. I really wanted, I ain't gonna go. Yeah, it's crazy. But 12 o'clock midnight, everybody's more than welcome for the discussion. Definitely the women that's on this panel. If y'all have the time to more, come on, just give your insight on it, or definitely in the chat. Appreciate you. Whoever just want to join in for the conversation in less than 2 hours, you're more than welcome. Just send a link, just regardless, and you're more than welcome to jump on. You too, Inky, because I know you're probably in the cloud somewhere too, because I know you got a brain on top of that beautiful shoulder of yours. So final thoughts, everybody. Appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you, Paulo, for coming on in. We're going to go round robin. So, Lola, because I know you love the long stroke, don't say the P word no more. So, what's your final thoughts, Lola? We go Lola, E, and then everybody else.
My final thoughts is just I think what we all took away from this is in real life, if you put a baby in a woman and she's not worth marrying, nobody cares about your opinion. That's not your family. And if you feel like it is, whatever. Yes, we have an issue with where we're going as a culture in terms of standards. Everybody's on their own moral, soapbox. But at the end of the day, if we really want to tell the truth, we all have some hypocrisy with us that we can say in our personal relationships might not work for someone else. So that is the reality that we face. When it comes to young people, all I'm going to say is this. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not in my 30s. But what I will say is this. Yes, you have a right to do whatever you want to do, especially when you're single. However, on both sides, you have to calculate the risk. And if you're willing to give up your quote unquote imaginary family over a tweet for the rest of your life, listen, don't, or whatever that is, listen, stop, just get off social media and go live your regular non-celebrity life so that you can do whatever you want to do with whoever is best suited for your lifestyle. And I'm not knocking anyone. If you feel like your chick should only dress like that for you and whoever you want her to dress like that for, whatever, you got a right to that. However, you don't got a right to tell me my eyes don't see what my eyes see and my good sense ain't putting one and one together that equals two. And that's the only thing that I can do. So that's not what you're gonna do. Tell me that's not really happening. I respect everybody's position here in terms of what they felt was right. And honestly, in some respects, I can agree, right? But what I'm dealing with on the ground is two numbnuts, okay, that don't know what they're doing and they just so happen to be able to reproduce. That's where we at. So, let's work with what we got. That's what I got to say.
All right, fair enough. Lady E.
I enjoyed the conversation. Nice being up here on the panel with everyone. Pretty much, we done spoke about a celebrity and she's gonna get likes off of this and probably gonna make money off of this, and hopefully Grey Pill, you get a return for promoting Keke. I said Kiwi. But in the end, we are a group of people that are giving our opinions about people that don't give two poop emojis about us at the end of the day.
Fair enough. Look at that. No long stroking there. And it was a calculated tweet. Ruby, you good? Or you want to wait? Final
Yeah,
thoughts?
give me a second, please.
No problem. Palu, are you good, sir?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, thanks for having me up here, and to the panelists. Appreciate the conversation and the ability to share what we all individually think values and principles are. I think what sort of slips a lot of these conversations is that even though when we look at unique experiences to other people and how most people live their life, what I try and look at is more the principle, because vast majority of the things that principles and values that constitute to a great relationship, a somewhat semi-decent life, they're pretty objective and they're pretty standard in terms that they're similar to a lot of they're similar in all walk and cross of life. So that's where I try and focus. We can say, oh, I experienced X, Y, and Z, and it's very different from you, but most of the lessons are very similar, if not the same. So therefore, the principles and values we derive from that are very similar. But other than that, again, to the panelists, thank you for the shared conversation. And Grey Pill, again, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna email you on my Discord, but for everybody else who doesn't know, my Discord link, my Instagram link, and just my email, everything is pinned up through my YouTube channel, so you can find it there. Wes, final thoughts, good sir.
Yes. Thank you for having me on. I'm always appreciate it when you bring me on. From what I can tell, feminism hasn't done a whole lot of favors for women. And keep math in mind. 1 plus 1 actually equals 3 when you can't figure out how to use a condom, which is what we need to be telling more of these idiots. But
that's it.
That's my final thought.
Okay. My man. Ruby, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, obviously, thank you for having me. Wonderful discussion. I think the thing is that, depending on the direction of the conversation, people can either take me for being some modern woman feminist, or on the other side, I get called a woman hating trad wife. So it just depends on where the conversation is. But to me, I like to call myself a realist, right? And so the reality is that for as long as we can have recorded history of modern society, and I'm talking about like thousands of like hundreds and hundreds of years, not just like the last like 50 years, right? Women have been battling the exact same thing. That is to say, except for a brief period of time where only men were allowed to act, so they played like every role and only men were allowed to sing and whatever. As soon as you put women into entertainment of sorts, right, then there's always this balance between being the Madonna, right, and then the prima donna. And the sad thing is that people don't want to recognize the fact, and this is why there's a song that came out, it's called BITCH, and I like that because it's like, saying I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint, right? I'm your hell, I'm your dreams, I'm nothing in between, and no, you wouldn't want it any other way. Love that song because it was trying to challenge this idea that like women can't be a balance of things. And I feel like that is what we're looking at with several of these situations that have been ongoing in the last couple of years. Like, you're either a wonderful girlfriend / wife, and you are a wonderful mother, and you're you support your man, you're down with family, whatever, or you're a modern woman who's this and that. And it's just like, dude, why can't we realize that there's a balance, and that most women, most people are a balance of things, and then recognize that based on your different talents and interests and whatever, that your particular balance of things might require something different than mine, and that's okay, right? And likewise with the men, right? Men are going to want and need different things. not only as like men, as far as, you know, someone who's going to be, you know, helping them or supporting them or whatever in their own journey, but they're also going to want and need different things as far as what they're attracted to, what makes them happy, what makes them stressed out, whatever it is, right? And I feel like we want it to be a monolithic answer. You know, we want to keep that monolith on top of everybody so we can judge everyone, right? And this is why Russell and Sierra have been the biggest conversation since the dawn of time. And you know who they don't talk to? Any of us about any of their business. And, you know, we just keep sitting there judging them. And that's what we're going to do with Keke, right? Because Keke doesn't like to talk about her business. And that's why we don't know anything about her, right? And that's why it makes it so easy to judge and whatever. But what are we judging? We don't know anything about these people. We don't know how they run their real lives. We don't know how they run their households. We don't know what's going on in there. We don't know how traditional or modern or this or that anybody is, right? We don't know the conversations they have. We don't know the arrangements that they made. We don't know why they're married or not. Or not married, right? Like, we don't know why these decisions happen. For all we know, he was desperate to be married and she was not. And she doesn't believe in it, or vice versa. We don't know, right? And we need to stop casting aspersions on people that are in the 1%ers. And then, like, I don't know. To me, it's like, it's weird because it's like, it's beyond this point where, you know, where it's aspirational. It's just like kind of like sick. Like, we want to be as important as the 1%ers, so we'll just cast all of our crap on them and then pretend that somehow or another we can be better than the 1%ers. Like, dude, you don't have multi-billions of dollars, nor do you have multi-billion-dollar problems, right? So, like, maybe you just mind your own damn business, allow these people, let them live their lives, run their relationships how they see fit and what makes them happy. And why don't you just pay attention to whatever it is that they're putting out there for public consumption? Like, I don't know, their actual talent. So yeah, those are my final thoughts.
All right, fair enough. Let me get my ugly face answer. I appreciate everybody for coming on through. There was one. Again, 12 o'clock, midnight, say like 5 minutes after. Welcome to the Great Pill Podcast. Everything's gonna be one time as opposed to, right? Because every guest I have on have a life. So I take it as a personal favor when they come on, especially the content creators come on and we have the conversation. All right. So anybody that knows me thus far knows that I does personal invites to people and have them come on. Per me knowing them, being on panels with them, that's what it is. So I do apologize if I say 8 o'clock and it be 8:05, then it turns into 8:15. We're here. You're here. So, but I still appreciate everybody for coming on through. Any donations to the Great Pill Podcast will be going to a great cause. I will make sure I have a promo for Inky Unplugged. That's her channel. You can check it out, where she have a great cause that I'm going to be personally supporting and promoting all the time, every day for that one. And that's pretty much it. So I will say this to the whole conversation and just the whole Keke thing. There's two wrongs, right? Keke knew who she dated. Darius knew what he was getting into. I think it should have been a conversation. I believe what Paula was saying was 100% right. I do believe it was an unstructured relationship. Why? Because of how the grown man, I don't care if you hit no age, you're out of high school, you're grown to me. If you're out of high school, you're working, you're making something out of yourself, you are an adult. You're not living in your parents' house no more. You are an adult. Isn't that what they used to say? Once you move out your parents' house, you're an adult. So he's an adult. This is life. He dated a celebrity that's been doing stuff as a kid star. That should have been a conversation between the two. If, you know, the receipts or the conversation that's from Keke on the Shade Room that was actually on her Instagram, because I seen it too, that's a conversation between them. He knew what was going on. He knew what asked. So now if the regular people like myself want to be on media, because I've done it too, shout out to 9 Day Fiance, shout out to the other things that I have an interest in, and to his characters, because to me, that's what they are. They're not people. I don't know them. They are general characters. So if I go into the DM, if I go in a message, and I go on Facebook, even on the people that I have interviewed, shout out to Enrique. He's actually an expat. He's not a passport bro, but he has his own social media following. But there's people that don't know him will dictate everything about his life. Everything. I remember a perfect example when they swore up and down he was never going to be with this girl. And the only reason he left out the country of Philippines to come to the States because his mom's like 87 years old and about to kill over. So he had to focus on his family, take the time out there. But he had the conversation with his girlfriend at the time of what the dynamics is going to be. Like Paulo gave an example. Hey, let's figure this out before steps can take so nobody won't act crazy or act a fool. Now they're back to a long distance relationship for a year, and they got back together when he relocated back to having this expat life in the Philippines. That's all it is. It got to be a conversation between the two parties. But why are you having that conversation? When you step in the ring of that relationship, understand what the relationship you're getting into. That's with the whole manosphere, the red pills, whatever relationship. If you know that you're getting with a quote unquote high value, if you know you're getting with a woman that has a child, depending on the age limit, understand the dynamics of that. That pee cannot be that good for you to be like, oh, I didn't know what happened. Them boobies can't be that good. We're like, oh my God, I didn't know what happened. That pretty face cannot be that good for you to be like, oh my God, she acted crazy. Have the conversation, look for the signs. I know people don't like when I say this, vet. It does not going to give you 100% of everything, but it give you close enough to some ideas of what your standard is versus what her standard is. And clearly we know her standards is first and foremost, she's a celebrity. This is what come with it. It might be some clickbait or some other career opportunities for her just doing the thing with Usher, and also it could have been just like Wes said. Also, she took the uniform off, celebrity uniform off, to be a civilian having a concert. That's it. Now the fact she had the money and she's up more close upstage, this is what the entertainment came to. She's upstage. Usher gonna do what Usher do. Oh, okay, you paying an extra $5,000 to be seeing me? Okay, I'm gonna give you that little 5-star routine. Casual flirting. Again, that's between you and your spouse. What is casually and harmless flirting to you? We covered that earlier. I showed that earlier about a context of people was having that conversation about that. So it is what it is. But I'm gonna give the last and final stars. I'm gonna close out. So 12 p.m. we'll have a discussion with the Janelle Gordon versus Destiny later tonight. So I just want to share this final thought and we'll close it out. So I appreciate everyone for coming on through. Where is it? Let me blow this up real quick. All right.
Who makes less money than you. This is the implications that come with it. Now, unless y'all both were broke and you happen to somehow make more money than him and you guys came to a mutual understanding, that's a different story. But when you meet each other and this one person's come through or one person's thriving, it's going to be really hard to set demand. So unfortunately, listening to the analysis on this saying, you know, she showed up to the club in that outfit. Okay, but he knew she was going to the concert. Did he not consent to her going? And he said, no, I mean, babe, have fun. Have fun. See, the problem with this generation, as nobody understands, like, if you have boundaries and demands, set that in the beginning of the relationship. But dating somebody who makes less money than you, this is the implications that come with it. Now, unless y'all both were broke,
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.